I see you.
It sounds like it's working. I don't hear any feedback.
No,
Awesome.
me neither. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Hey, how you doing, Ben?
Well, I'm doing good. Let's pretend it's never happened. We'll start again. I'm here with Dennis Rogers from Canoehound Adventures. So we're going to talk about a whole pile of stuff now that we've got things going. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, please ask away in the chat. And as Dennis has people do, type question in caps at the beginning. Then it's easier for me to see the question, and we will answer them from there. So let's start with you, Dennis. So what kind of outdoor stuff do you do generally? What's your go-to outdoor stuff?
Wow. You know what? Everybody kind of takes me for just being a canoeist or an outdoorsman. There's all kinds of activities I love doing during the well, both all seasons actually. I do a little bit of mountain biking. I ski, cross country ski. Huge football fan. I'm a CFL football fan.
Oh,
Got
cool.
season tickets to the Ticats, so I'm always taking that in. Boating. I've got a boat. Go fishing. If it's outdoors, I'm there.
Nice.
That's it. So yeah.
Nice. So, Canoehound Adventures, your YouTube channel, and then the show that you're doing. When did you start that, and why?
The channel originally started back in 2013, and I started it. I had a bunch of videos on, and then I went through a period in time where I got right out of social media.
Oh yeah,
I found it to be too intrusive, especially like Facebook and things like that, right?
yeah,
And I just sort of dropped off the whole social media like platform type of thing, right? And at that time, darn it, I got rid of a lot of my videos that were on
oh
YouTube,
no,
and I just so happened to have a couple that for whatever reason, I didn't take off. So the channel maintained, right?
yeah,
And I wish I didn't remove them because now I can't find that footage
oh
anywhere, right?
yeah,
And so that was like, from what, 7, 8 years ago, something like that,
yeah,
10 years ago, whatever.
wow,
And yeah, so just recently, well, not recently, back between Christmas and New Year's last year, I uh, I was bored stiff, and I decided I'm gonna get this going again, right? I want
yeah,
to start documenting my trips again and things of that sort. So that's how I got going once again.
nice. I suspect that's probably the way most people's outdoor channels started, just a way of documenting
Hmm.
what you've been doing. I know that's exactly why how mine started. I mean, you start
Yeah,
doing it, you post the odd video, and then people watch it, and you go, "Oh, people might be interested in seeing this." So you keep going. And how
yeah.
about the live chats? Because you've been doing how long you've been doing the live show? You've been doing it for quite a while now.
Well, I had my 31st. I think it was my 31st episode was this past Tuesday with David Pearson from Really Big Monkey One. That was a really fun night. But yeah, so 31 episodes in, but I had been saying for about the last year that I wanted to do something along this line, this
Yeah,
format, because at the time I didn't really see anybody doing it, and I wanted to learn more about the YouTubers I was following,
yeah,
right? The people, the men and women that I like to watch. And I thought, hey, this might be something that might be very beneficial to my channel. I get to meet new people. I get to learn a lot more and hear a lot of their stories and tales that you don't get to see on YouTube
yeah.
or anywhere else for that matter, because we try to go a little more in depth with what they do.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's taken off pretty well. I'm starting to get a pretty good following of people that are just like me and you,
Nice.
or you and I, right? And it's really cool. And I believe it or not, I've made some really good friendships through this. Whether it's just through the YouTube platform or them that follow us on Facebook, and people that I've actually met, like at the outdoor adventure
Yeah,
shows and the canoe symposiums and things like that.
I think
So
that was
it's
where we
been,
finally met for the first time this year, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah,
yeah,
because
it's
I
a
hadn't met you
Toronto
before
outdoor
that. Yeah,
adventure show.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's awesome. I mean, I enjoy. It happens in my work too because I do obviously video production. I do a lot of different videos for all different kinds of things. But in starting to do the live stuff myself, and in doing like the TV show Get Outside and so on, I've found it's an amazing way to, like you said, to meet new people and to also learn new things, to try new things.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been fun actually talking to some of the people that like yourself who haven't actually had a chance to talk with before, and yeah, you learn a lot of stuff. It's really cool.
Right. And people always talk about the community.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it really is. It really is a community. Like, we're all people that share a very common interest, whether it's canoeing, camping, backpacking, hiking, mountain, whatever it is. It's all the outdoorsy type of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And there is a huge community. And it's nice that you might not know people in your general area that you can actually do this stuff with, but you get to share it virtually on the YouTube platform. See a trip that you've done or see a trip that he's done and she's done. So
yeah. Did you find
yeah,
that you didn't realize how big a community it was until you started doing your videos? I mean, that's one thing I found. I
yeah,
found that like when I first started doing it, I just started putting videos out there. I had no idea that other people were doing it. I thought, oh, people might be interested in seeing it. But then you start realizing from people that are following you, you start meeting people. I don't know if you found the
yeah.
same thing. Was it the same with you?
Yeah, I find that like, and we're only like the tip of the
Oh
iceberg,
yeah,
what we've got here, like if you really get deep within YouTube and you try and start searching out like, European outdoors people and people even from like out west, out east, uh, there's, yeah, it's like YouTube is, they put together these little clusters of communities, right? And those are the videos you get to see all the time, right?
yeah,
So you have to try and break out of that community shell to start finding stuff or people that you want to follow that are outside of our cluster,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's not easy to do
Oh
sometimes,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. Now, have you ever? I mean, obviously, at places like the Outdoor Adventure Show, you run into all sorts of people. But have you ever had the experience of running into somebody while you've been out camping that's watched you on YouTube?
Last year when I did my solo trip, my very first time, I've been canoeing for over 35 years. And last year, after I bought my Swift
Yeah,
canoe, was the first time I ever did a solo trip.
nice.
And I was paddling on was it Porcupine Lake, and I had my camera mounted like on the front of the boat. These guys come by, and they go, "Hey, what's your YouTube channel?" I go, "Canoehound Adventures." They go, "Seen you on there," and it's like, really, and at that time I only had like maybe 500 subscribers or something
Yeah,
like that, right? And it really caught me off guard. And then there was one other time that I was out with a bunch of friends canoeing, and somebody recognized me. So I thought it was pretty neat. Like,
it is kind of
and
cool.
that's not why I did this by all
No,
means,
I
right?
yeah, I
So
totally get it. Yeah, but it is
yeah,
amazing how suddenly somebody walks up to you and goes, "You're and you, yeah, you watch the stuff?
yeah,
Thanks, that's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
I
awesome."
mean, that's why we put it on here. We hope people that are going to watch it, we hope people will subscribe to our channel, not so we have big numbers, but so that people are enjoying the content that we're putting on there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, we were talking before we started this about our numbers. We were both looking at our stats, and I know for me it was about 65% of the people that are watching the videos aren't subscribers, and I think you said it was similar numbers for
Yeah.
you. What
After you mentioned that to me, 64% of my
yeah.
my follow or
So
people that watch my
people,
videos are not subscribed.
what are you doing?
Yeah,
Subscribe.
yeah,
Dennis has a great
yeah.
channel. You might like my channel
Good.
too. Subscribe.
Ben does too. Go down and press his little button gray there.
That way you don't miss anything because everybody's posting
Yeah,
some really cool stuff. So yeah, get out there
yeah,
and subscribe to the channels.
yeah. So when you're at just a curious question,
Yeah.
when you were at the Outdoor Adventure Show, did you have people approaching you at the show too?
There were some, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah, which was kind of cool. I mean, it helped that I was doing my talk, so obviously some people were there specifically for that and asking questions about that. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of
Hey,
interesting
I thought it was too. It kind of caught me off guard because a friend of mine and myself went there to actually take in the show, and we didn't even see half of it.
because
And
people
it
kept
was
stopping
part
you.
do a part to that, and then also watching like presenters like yourself doing their presentations at the
Yeah,
show, right? So,
yeah,
yeah,
no, that was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess there you might expect it a little bit more than when you're out in the forest. Like, it is always freaky
hmm,
when you're hiking or canoeing and then suddenly somebody recognizes you. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want to find out what out of the things that you've done, camping and so on. Is there? I know everybody has a few trips that really are memorable. What would you say some of your most memorable trips have been?
Oh gosh, I'd like to say every single one of them. Of course, everybody wants to say that, but two that stand out in my mind probably the most. Uh, and one I've done a few times is the Spanish River from Bisco Tasting all the way back down to well, it's called the Elbow on the Spanish. Beautiful trip. Take the bud train in, the old Via Rail bud train. It drops you off, and then you paddle back, and
Where?
then
Sorry, where is
yeah.
that again?
It's on the Spanish River, which is Spanish River drains into just above Sudbury,
Okay.
like one of the basin lakes there.
Oh,
But
okay.
it starts in Disco Tasting, which is like it's like in
Wait.
the middle of nowhere.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. And another trip that we've done twice as well is the Mizunabie headwaters. So Lake Mizunabie, and there again, one time we got dropped off by the Bud train and portaged in about a mile or a kilometer or something, and started our big loop from there. And very remote trips, very very remote trips. So
Nice. Any
yeah,
particular trips that have been super challenging? I mean, they tend to end up being the memorable ones as well, but
yeah. In all honesty, I think the most challenging trip I've ever done was the one that we did last year, the Nebequasi River. I don't know if it's my age, being 55 or getting up there in age, but this trip really kicked the crap out of the whole party. We had six of us on the trip. The only one that wasn't really phased by anything was the young 23-year-old buck that was with us, right?
oh wow, yeah.
But yeah, one guy took a big gash to the eye, like right around here on our uh, second morning. He had to go back out, get stitched up, and come back in.
Oh
So
really?
that
Wow.
we lost a day there. We had some bad weather. We had portages. We could not find campsites. We couldn't find. It was rough. It was a rugged trip. And you know what? I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. So,
yeah,
where do you typically go? Obviously, you're doing trips all over the place. Like I remember watching one of your shows, and you were talking about how you don't really do much in the park. And it was only recently, I think you said you've been back into like Algonquin uh,
yeah,
Park for some trips. You're mostly, is it mostly other
yeah.
parks, or is it mostly Crown Land? What kind of?
I prefer Crownland. I
Yeah.
like going to places where I'm not going to run into people.
Hmm.
Not to say that Algonquin Park is a beautiful
Yeah.
place. It has its own steep history, and it's. I find for the most part, and a lot of people will shoot me for saying this, but for the most part, it's been so well traveled that it's an easier canoe trip
Yeah.
than some of the stuff I like to
Yeah.
experience. Last year I was at Algonquin four times. Well, twice were winter camping trips. One was just after you, a couple of days before they
Right.
closed the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did a solo trip. Reason I went to Algonquin for the solo is because it was my first time, and I wanted people around just in case I run into some issues.
Yeah.
And then I went on a trip with my friends from Kid Products as well. So, but before that, I hadn't been in Algonquin in about 6 or 7 years,
Wow.
and then maybe 3 years before that, and I think one time for winter camping before that. So yeah,
Nice. Talk
yeah,
about winter camping. That's something that when you start doing more camping, you realize that people do that. But when did you start winter camping?
my very first experience winter camping was probably around 25 years
Oh
ago,
wow. Okay.
and it was at Mule Lake. A buddy and I we went there. We bought all the gear. We went there, all brand new stuff, new tents, the whole 9 yards, and we ended up sleeping in a Quincy that somebody else built in the park where they piled the snow up, right? And that was a pretty cool experience. And then after that, one more time winter camping, and then I couldn't find anybody, and I always tease I couldn't find anybody else stupid enough to go with me, right?
Yeah.
But now getting back into it again this year, uh, I'm looking really forward to next winter already to be able to get back out again.
Do you hot tent or a cold tent?
This year we did both. We did a hot tent. A buddy of mine lent me his big Prospector 4 or 6 man that we used up the one trip we went on, and then the second time we went just before the park closed. My buddy and I we just used his regular canoeing tent
Nice.
and froze. But I'm a hammock camper. I,
Oh
I I
okay.
really find myself comfortable in a hammock. I just need to get the proper type of underquilt for that so that I can actually
Yeah.
stay warm.
Yeah, I haven't used
Yeah.
my hammock. I mean, I don't really hammock camp. I have a cheap hammock, which I've slept in maybe 3 times, but always in summer. And I've just had like a sleeping pad under me. But in summer, that's all you need, I think.
Right.
But I don't know if I'd winter camp in that. Although I do winter camp in my tent style tents where I'm up off the ground. I like being off the ground.
Yeah.
But there, it's flat, so I can put down just multiple pads and keep nice and warm.
Sure.
Yeah, well, that's
Now
cool.
in Algonquin, are you when you go to Mule Lake, you like to go up the
We
airstrip, right?
yeah. Either if
Okay.
we want an easy one, we'll go into the airfield there in the backcountry because it's only you're maybe 700-800 meters, a kilometer in at the most, so you can always hike out to the comfort station if you need to. That is a great place for people to start. If anybody wants to start winter camping, Mule Lake
Oh
is
yeah.
fantastic. You can either camp at the campground, which is great, or if you want to be backcountry but close, you can do that as well. I do want to start doing some more further in stuff as well
Yeah.
because that's always fun.
We're gonna have to talk.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah. You know what? It's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, definitely. I would like to go a little further in. The thing is, you've got to kind of scout out where you want to go, like in the fall sometime before before the snow comes down because you got to like it's not like you can just because you're not camping at sites when you're winter camping. You're camping
Right.
wherever you can find a spot that works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of fun.
Interesting. We got to talk. We got
Yeah.
to talk.
You know what? I almost find it might not be true, but I almost find that I do more camping in the winter than in the summer. It's just in some ways I find it easier. I don't know why, but yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're comfortable with the cold, it's not a problem, right? And that
Yeah,
all relates back to having the proper gear. So
absolutely, yeah. So
yeah.
camping in general. So canoe camping. You're what canoes do you have? You said you have 2 canoes that you use.
I've got two. I've got my newest addition to the family is the 14-foot Prospector pack boat from Swift Canoes.
Nice.
It's a Kevlar Fusion, weighs about 30. They said 32, but when I weighed it at my shop, it actually come in at 31 pounds.
Oh wow.
So, and that was with the cherry yoke on it, right?
Oh yeah. Nice.
My other canoe is a 16-foot Novacraft Prospector Royal Light, a material you can't get anymore right now. I guess they don't make it
Oh
anymore.
wow.
But it's been on many, many trips, and it's got a lot of paddle scars on the bottom for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what kind of gear do you
Yeah.
generally take with you on a trip?
Uh, I've got a list that I packed from. I I'll tell you the story. Okay, there's my buddy and I that are our regular canoe partners, much like you have Tim,
Yeah.
right? I have Jay,
Yeah.
right? And him and I have been canoeing together now for over 30 years. Used to work together in a factory, and over the years, of course, I'm a gearhead, and you accumulate and you accumulate and you accumulate. So when we get together for our packing meetings, right? Who the guys are that are coming along on the trip, we all get a list, and we're going through the list, and it's like, I got it, I got it, I got it. So I always end up with the heaviest pack. I got to start keeping my mouth shut and letting them say I got it first, right? So,
But you do
yeah.
use a checklist.
Oh yes,
Yes,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
something it's a good idea to do. I sometimes do. I don't always.
Yeah.
And guarantee it's the times that you don't use the list that you're going to forget stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's not too often I forget anything.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I forgot one main thing. I forgot the bacon.
That is tragic. That is tragic.
Yeah, yeah.
Not as bad as my buddy Tim. He forgot his sleeping bag one time, and it was early spring. The only thing he had was a tarp,
Mhm.
so he was a little chilly.
Oh wow.
And after that, yeah, he always uses a checklist now. I don't always, but I generally, in my mind, I'm always looking at my gear and going, okay, I've got tent, I've got sleeping bag, I've got a sleeping pad, I've got my food. Okay, worst case, I'm going to stay alive,
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
have occasionally forgotten things like a flashlight, and you go, oh, that sucks.
yeah. But if you go with other guys, somebody's usually got
They
one,
usually
right?
do,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I, I will go out and say this though, and I had this on one of my shows one time where I actually put it out there that if anybody wants a copy of my packing list, just drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com and I'll gladly send you off a PDF.
Yeah, no, that's a good
Yeah,
idea because especially somebody that's starting out new may not know everything that they need, and it's only. I mean, everybody will have different things, but it's what works for you. You'll eventually figure out what actually works
exactly.
for you. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you've only done the one solo with your pack boat. How long have you had the pack boat?
yeah. I picked it up. It'll be probably a year right about now.
Oh, okay, cool,
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's been on about 5 or 6 trips already.
nice. And how do you like it? 'Cause I've got the cruiser, which
Oh,
is awesome. I'm loving that.
yeah. I've got a dog, right? I have Molly,
Yeah,
and it's a. They say the pack boat. Actually, Bill Swift really sold me on the pack boat or the Prospector because I have a dog.
right.
Um, I know what I carry on all my trips, and I knew my dog sometimes gets up and she's looking around. And this boat is so stable in the water that there's never a worry. Even in big waves,
Yeah,
it takes it. It
nice.
takes it.
Yeah,
So
well, that's good. And it's what the
yeah,
14 foot?
the 14 foot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, was at the sapphire blue.
Oh, nice.
So yep, yep.
Very
Looks
cool.
fast. I like it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you recently had Bill on your show. That was a really cool little chat you
Yeah.
had with him.
Yeah, Bill's a pretty cool guy. The whole Swift family has such a steeped history in Algonquin Park, right?
Yeah,
Like they go way back, way back, right? And the reason why I had Bill on the show wasn't even so much to talk about Swift canoes. I wanted to learn more about the history of the Swift family
yeah,
and their roots in Algonquin, right? And I think Bill doesn't like to do too many of these types of shows. But when I told him that I really wanted to learn about his family history, I think that's what sold him on the show.
nice.
And of course, we did get into some canoe talk because, well, they're Swift canoes, right? But yeah, I think the whole allure there was the fact that we actually wanted to talk about Bill Senior and his mom, of course, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
that was a
no,
fun
it was
trip.
great. And I've been watching. They've been doing some from their stores recently, doing some live stuff, teaching people about the canoes.
Yeah.
So you said so you had what? Sorry, what was your other one? Your other one's
Oh, it's a
a
Novacraft,
Novacraft,
16
right? Yeah,
Prospector. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's a little heavier. That's my tandem boat. If I'm out paddling on a canoe trip with my buddies, uh, that's the canoe I'll take out. And I'll tell you, this last year on the Nebuchadnezzar trip, we had 6 of us, and I tried so hard to make it either 5 or 7.
Oh, you
I
wanted it on your
wanted,
own? You
I
wanted to be
wanted
in
to
your
solo
solo,
the
right?
boat, yeah, and it didn't work out. So
That's funny because
yeah,
actually, it's right now. I'm talking to my buddy Tim about trips once the park's open where we want to go, and I'm trying to. trying to convince him. Well, maybe because coronavirus isn't actually gone, we should drive up in 2 cars and take 2 canoes. Because
yeah,
I've only used my cruiser on one actual trip, so I'm dying to get out there with on a real trip with it because it's pretty cool.
yeah. I don't know what that
Oh,
was,
that was a ding. That
but
was yeah.
oh,
That was family texting me in during the middle of the. They
oh,
should know between
yeah,
eight
yeah.
and nine on a
No, you know
Thursday how
what?
busy.
One day, all of us and everybody in the chat over here, they're going to be all free, and we're going to get out there, and we're all going to be bumping into each other on the water,
Yeah,
and it's hopefully sooner than later.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, do you have any trips planned for once things get back to normalish?
Uh, what's today? Today's
We're the
the
7th of
7th.
May.
I was
Yeah.
supposed to be leaving this weekend. I was supposed to have a ice out trip with avid outdoorsy guy, Ethan. I don't
Okay.
know if you're familiar with that. And Dan Schultz Outdoors. We were all supposed to go to Algonquin, heading out northern side of the park, and we were supposed to do a 4 or 5 day trip. And of course, that got canceled. So to this point right now, I'm not making any plans because as soon as something does open up, I'm out. See you
Yeah.
later.
I'm
And I don't care where it is.
I'm considering actually trying to book some things in the park now for like June because if they do open up at the beginning of June and you haven't booked
Hmm.
anything, good luck. It's going to be like a mad dash. People are just going to I got to book everything. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If anything, I might make my first trip, might be another solo trip possibly. I got a couple spots between North Bay and Temagami that I like to go to. It's Crown Land
Oh, nice.
and places I've been to many, many times before, and I've never done it solo. So I might go up there and try and pull that off and see what
Nice.
happens.
Yeah. Huh,
Yeah,
you know, how do you like solo? Because you said you've done the one trip solo. How do you
I
find?
thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Well,
I
how do you
really
find
did.
night, especially the first time you do it? Well, actually, every time you do it. What's your nighttime
I
like?
had no problem.
Oh, cool.
I got my really tough dog Molly to keep me
Okay,
company.
there you go.
Yeah, the dog that would be hiding behind me in a second. But no, you know what? I've never been afraid of the creaks and the crackles in the bush or anything like that. You know, it just hasn't really bothered me, and nothing's actually come out and got me yet. So,
Yeah, I've never had anything
but
come out and get me, but I got to admit, when
yeah,
you do it solo, I've done it quite a few times, and you still at night, I find you're lying there, going, okay, what's that? What's that?
yeah. It's funny you say that because there was one time where me and I think there was about four of us, and back then this is our early days of canoeing, and we had four guys all in one four-man tent, and we're all laying there, just like everybody's like, "You hear that? You hear that?" It turned out to be a bunny, a little rabbit.
And everything sounds so much bigger at night, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And after that, I said, "You know what? If that's the worst of it, man, I'm not afraid anymore." So it's
Yeah,
never really bothered me since.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
If anybody, we have people watching, but I'm not seeing any questions or comments. So I don't know. Are you seeing anything on the YouTube there? I'm just wondering if it's because we had
Uh,
technical issues at the beginning that nothing's showing up.
Well, I see Tom Testney is asking, do you prefer lakes or rivers?
Oh, okay, well, let's. What? Yeah,
Uh,
what do you prefer?
yeah, you could answer this one too. You know what? I prefer lake travel,
Okay.
uh, but I do not like big lake travel. I like puddle jumping. You know,
Yeah.
not too many puddle jumping, but the smaller lakes. Uh, but I'm not against doing river runs. Like I say, I've done the Spanish River several
Yeah.
times, and it's great. It's beautiful. Sometimes, when you don't have to paddle at all and you're just going with the current. That's so nice, right?
Yeah. Nice.
But probably because I'm not fully equipped for big white water. I don't have the spray skirt on either of my canoes or
Yeah.
anything like that. And but who knows? Maybe that could change because a lot of new things have happened to me over the last couple of years. So
Nice.
you never know.
I,
Yeah.
I, I not so much rivers with white water, but I really enjoy paddling up, those nice, lazy, winding rivers. And
Hmm.
there is something cool. I like being, if you're on a lake, being close to shore when you're paddling, it feels like you're moving. When you're out in the
Yes.
middle of a lake, it can be frustrating because you don't really notice yourself moving. You're still moving as fast as you would be along the shore, but you don't notice it as much, especially when you just get near the end of the day and you just want to get to your destination. Mind you, I
Yeah.
have been out a couple of times in my cruiser this month on Lake Ontario when it's been dead calm, and there is something cool about pointing the boat straight out so that you can't see any land in your peripheral vision, and it's just really cool. It's kind of it's begging you to cross the lake, which would be crazy.
Mhm.
But I'm seeing there we go. Now they're showing up. Okay, so thank you, people. Questions and comments. Good, awesome. They weren't showing up. I was thinking nobody's watching, nobody's asking any questions. Um, Kelly Camp says a question. What's the most difficult thing about operating a YouTube chat? There you go. Technical issues, Kelly. Technical
Technical
issues.
difficulties. Yes. Right now, the internet's really kicking the crap out of a lot of live streams just because so many people are putting a strain on the internet right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're
And
getting,
and little things like you probably heard the little ding. That was my brother texting me, and of course
yeah,
it's showing up through the computer I'm using. So,
yeah.
yeah, the technical issues are probably the hardest.
Well, the one thing I learned to doing these things is put it on silent mode when
Yeah,
when coming
exactly.
on, right? Or put it on vibrate mode.
Um, Question there from Ride Paddle Repeat. Dennis, have you ridden any MTB trails outside of Niagara, and recommendations for trails to check out in Niagara?
Okay. Actually, I kind of know Darren. Him and I probably had a few mountain bike rides back in the days when I was riding a lot more often.
Yeah,
Uh, out, out of Niagara, I'd say about the only places I've been is like Barrie and uh, just because I used to do the race circuit through Chico Racing,
Okay.
and they had 8 hour and 24 hour races up north and stuff like that. So that's about the extent of it. I've always wanted to go out west and do some of the trails out there, but yeah,
Nice. Let's
yeah.
see any other questions on here. We can see. Um, oh, the fleet captain. Yeah, started camping 6 years ago, and channels such as ours helped get us up to speed fast. Yeah. Oh, that's something we should talk about is the difference between. Okay, if you had to start all over again, camping, backcountry camping,
Hmm.
would you prefer to be able to learn all the knowledge, like by watching people's channels that you can find out everything now, or learn it the hard way through making mistakes, like you probably did, and I know I did.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that question's a double-edged sword
Yeah.
there, right? But of course, I'd like to know if they had YouTube back when I first started canoeing, it would have been a lot easier because I've told the story before. My first canoe trip, we had coolers, we had baseball gloves, we had food, and we were so loaded down until we experienced our first portage. Didn't really take that into consideration, right?
Yeah.
Being new at it. So yeah, I wish if I could learn through YouTube, that's what it's here for. You know,
Learn from other people's mistakes. Yeah.
yeah, it's no different than like if something goes wrong with my car and I have to fix it, I'll come
True.
to YouTube and I'll use it as a reference, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, use that resource.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
all the things that we definitely, yeah, packing too heavy. You're going to do that the first time, guaranteed.
yeah. I see a question there from Alexis Outdoors. Karina's asking, how do I like my Prospector in windy conditions?
Yeah,
And I think she's asking because I think she's eyeballing one of them herself. You know what? I'll tell you a story on that. When I did my solo trip last year, I put in at Smoke Lake, and so I finished at Smoke Lake.
yeah.
And when I was coming out, there was whitecaps on the water, and I was a little apprehensive whether or not I should be crossing that lake. And I stuck close to shore,
Yeah.
but I was so surprised that even with the dog and my gear, and a camera going like this on the tripod, right? I was so surprised that the thing is extremely stable because you're sitting so low in them pack boats that your center of gravity is way down, right? And with the Prospector, the way the tumble home all comes in and everything, I didn't even take a drop of water on, so
Nice.
I really liked it.
Now there is a difference though between the solo prospector and the tandem prospector. I have the 16-foot tandem prospector, and paddling that solo, if you don't
Right?
have weight in the front, the wind kills you. I been
Hmm.
flipped around so many times, and it's just it's a struggle. So,
Yeah.
is it the pack boat that you're looking for, Karina? Or do you know if she's looking for the same boat that you have, or is it?
I'm not exactly sure which one she's going
Yeah.
after. Maybe she'll put it in the chat. But
If it is
yeah,
the tandem one, then all I do is put weight in the front. I'll
yeah.
fill up
Well, I got my dog for that.
well, there you
So,
go. Yeah,
so there
I've
you
used
go.
rocks from around the campfire up in the front,
Yeah,
or if I know I have to portage, and if it's just me going out for the day, I'll take a dry
yeah,
bag, fill it with water, put it at the front. It makes a huge difference. I had to get
yeah.
towed once by somebody because I was having trouble with the wind.
I'll tell you a story about when I first got my Prospector, though, the Swift one. My very first time, I put it in the recreational canal that we have locally, and the dog was in the front, and I'm paddling, and I had a hard time. I couldn't keep that thing going straight, and I really struggled with it. And then I realized it was because I had my dog in the front, and I had no weight in the back,
Oh,
so the thing
right.
was plowing into the water, right?
Yeah.
And it would not track, right? Quite the opposite. You put the dog in the back or your backpack, and then you're light in the front end, and you're okay. But
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, the answer is there. Looking at solo boats. So there we go. That's good.
yeah,
Let's see. What
I
else?
think she and Ryan want to get their own solo rides.
Nice.
Go for it. Go for it.
It is fun. Now, so, do you use a kayak paddle in the solo prospector, or
I
a
do.
canoe paddle?
I bought it specifically for that reason, a la Joe Robinette, right?
Yeah.
He's probably sold a million canoes for for
Yeah.
canoe and kayak. But I'm a fan of both.
Yeah.
There's always that debate: double blade, solo blade. I'm a fan of both. I find that with the pack boat in the configuration that I have with the kayak seat, Yes, tandem blade.
Yeah.
I will bring a solo blade with me or solo paddle with me so that you should always have a backup
Yeah.
in case you lose your paddle. Um, but I also love my Novacraft and tandem paddling with a paddle.
Yeah.
It's I think there's a place for both, and I enjoy both. So
Yeah. I've been using the kayak paddle in the cruiser, but I also have a short paddle which I use, and it really depends on what I'm doing. If I want to get somewhere, I'm using the kayak paddle. But if I want to just relax, I still find it's really relaxing using that canoe paddle in that as well.
sure, yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Da, 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 da. So yeah, I missed all these awesome comments and questions. I wasn't seeing a single one. There are technical issues
Okay.
until just
Yeah.
a few minutes ago, so that's good. Um, okay. Lean
So
towards
what do you
keep
have
going.
going on, Ben? What do you got a? Did you have a ice out trip plan this year
Uh,
that got mixed?
Nothing actually planned, but usually my buddy Tim and I will do one like immediately at ice out. We'll often actually do Kawartha Highlands because it's ice out earlier than Algonquin.
Hmm.
So that's often our spring trip is Kawartha Highlands. And then I was hoping to have done a couple of trips throughout May. Obviously, that's not happening.
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to know somebody's got some private land just south of Algonquin, and they've said that if I want to go up there for a couple of nights, I can do that. They have about 100
Right.
acres, so there's a good chance I'm going to take them up on that just so I can get out because, sitting around. It's funny, all of April, most of the time people aren't going out in April anyway, but just
Right.
because knowing it's closed, it made it feel
That's the
like
whole
you were
thing, right?
stuck.
Exactly. Yeah, because really, we all shouldn't be starting canoeing until about now, anyways. But over the last month and a half, everybody's been pulling their hair out because you
Exactly.
can't, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but you know what, though? Like you say, thank goodness to the people that are generous enough to let people like you and I
Yeah.
use their property. I have the old gentleman that lets me use his wooded lot for my day camp.
Oh, nice.
Uh, it's kind of nice that he's allowed me to do that, and it's very beneficial that it allows us to still be able to get out when all this stuff's going on, right?
Yeah, 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 for
Yeah,
sure. And then
yeah.
I'm obviously what are your thoughts? Do you think they're going to be opening up? I think they're probably going to be opening up by June.
Well, it's nice to see that they're starting to relax on things a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, I I'm on both sides of the fence because I really want to get out. I say just open it up, man, or let us go have at Crown Land, right? But on the same note, I think they're doing it the right way, and they got to ease into it because if they don't, we're going to have another spike, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want that because it'll kill our summer completely.
Yeah, yeah. I think what they've got to do is maybe open things up, slowly. Like they're easing stuff, they're allowing cottagers to go up if you own a
Mhm.
cottage, but crack down on people who aren't doing the social distancing. I have no problem with that. If you have to
Yep.
crack down on people, or maybe if it's a provincial parks like Algonquin, open up backcountry first. I don't know if that's logistics wise would work, but because honestly,
Yeah.
they're safe activities in terms of social distancing for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, with that being said, if they do open up the parks and the Crown Land, I'm not heading to the parks.
No, they'll be
There are going
busy.
to be so many people there. You'd be lucky to get a campsite, you know what I mean, or a reservation for that matter, because of all this.
Yeah.
I'll go to the places that I know that I can go camp, and you might see somebody out there fishing in a boat or something, but you're not going to see another canoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Another question here. What's your favorite piece of equipment and why? And what new piece of equipment are you dreaming of getting?
Ooh, my favorite piece of equipment, in all honesty, is my hammock, my
Mm.
Hennessy hammock. I, if my wife would let me, I would mount it in the bedroom. I'd sleep in the hammock. I really would. It's the only sleep I ever have that I can fall asleep in one position and wake up 8 hours later in the same position
Oh
and
wow.
not shift or roll or anything. Uh, Not like my bed. I must need a new mattress or something, right? Uh, Piece of gear that I'm hoping to get soon, and it's a little bit of it's not super super expensive, but I need to get an Ursac.
Hmm.
Uh,
I was looking at those too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like they're $140 for the extra large or something like that. And I think it's going to be a good investment. But right now, like a lot of other people, I'm sitting on my wallet, right? You don't know what's going to happen with all this
Exactly.
COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of sitting tight. Not to mention, or like I mentioned, I'm a gearhead. I got almost everything. You know, I've got the knife. I got everything. I got 5 different stove systems, and it's
I
yeah,
gotta say though,
overkill.
there's a lot of things that you can never have too many of. You can never have too many tents. You can never have too
Yeah.
many canoes.
No, no, yeah.
Might make you broke
Well, you can
getting
if you
them,
don't have
but
a place to store them,
that's
right?
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you guys wear your glasses on trips or bring contacts? I don't. I only wear them. Well, I used to have. That's really annoying. I used to have perfect vision. It's just now I'm getting older. I have to, for reading and seeing things close. So
Mhm.
these are just like dollar store things.
Yeah.
So I'll bring them in case I need to look at stuff. But normally, fine. What about obviously sunglasses? I'll wear those. What about
Yeah.
you? What do you do?
My wife and I had about 20 years ago. We had laser eye surgery done,
Oh,
and they told us the day we had our laser eye surgery done, which gave us perfect 20/20 vision. They said eventually down the road you're going to need reading
mm.
glasses, and I had perfect vision, perfect vision. Boom! I needed glasses. It was like they flipped the switch or something, right? So these here, they're reading glasses, but I need them to read the chat and stuff, so I keep them on during the live streams.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
don't need them to see where I'm going out there or anything like that. So
yeah.
what do you do like sunglasses? How do you keep them safe? So I find so
I carry 3 pairs.
okay, I was gonna say last summer. Okay, I normally get cheap sunglasses, the cheapest ones I can
Yeah,
get. But we were shooting the show Get Outside, so I figured, okay, I'll buy some nice sunglasses for that. Bought a nice pair, wore them like twice, put them in my life jacket pocket, bending over to get in the canoe, crack.
yeah,
What? That never happens with the cheap ones. Why does it happen
yeah,
with the expensive ones?
yeah.
So,
No, you know what? My favorites are you go to the outdoor show or the sportsman show, and you know, like at the table where they got $10 glasses or 3 for 25. I buy my 3 for 25 for my canoe trip because I swear to God, I always bring 3 pairs,
yeah,
you know, because I misplace or whatever. So okay, I know in this bag I got one, right? I grab them.
nice.
But last year I crushed 2 pairs. Well, I shouldn't say that. I lost one overboard, and the other ones I crushed. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Which underquilt are you thinking of getting for the hammock? This is Fleet Captain. He has a Hennessy.
yeah. I've got a Hennessy hammock, and I've been doing my research. I had Sean Emery on the show one time, and he gave me a bunch of ideas. But there's a place here in Canada um, called Little Shop of Hammocks,
Hmm,
and I think I'm gonna have one custom made. I just need to get off my wallet and get it done, right? So
nice.
I'm not familiar with underquilts that much, so anybody has some suggestions or advice, please share it with me.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, anything else here? Hopefully, Captain's. You have five. He has 5 sailboats. Why do you have 5 sailboats? Actually, my brother has too many boats as well. He's got a powerboat. He's got 2 sailboats. So yeah, I can see how it happens. I know what's going to happen with me with canoes. If I have the cash to get an extra canoe, I'll buy another canoe. I know I will.
Yeah.
Tents. I have. How many tents do you have? Do you have?
Oh, well, okay.
So I
We'll
did a
start with the
count, and I
hammocks.
have a lot.
I've got 3 hammocks, and
Okay.
I've got one, two, three, four, five tents in varying sizes.
Nice. Let's see.
6. Sorry, I got a winter camping tent,
Oh,
of course.
okay,
Season.
cool. So I got
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
two, three, four, five, six. I think I have 10.
Wow.
And probably how many do I have that are tent style tents? I have one, two. I have 4 tent style tents, different
Okay.
sizes. I have a solo, 2 person, then the 3 person, and then I have another 3 person one, which I haven't used yet actually. But then they
Mhm.
keep coming out. They have a whole new generation of them, which are better. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, it's like computer memory. Eh? They keep doubling it every couple of years, so you have to buy more and more and more.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah. And now I've
My
got
my fa-
a few from Eureka as well, which are really nice too. So
yeah.
it
My favorite tent is the El Capitan from Eureka. I've had
okay,
that thing for 20 years or so,
yeah,
and it's a two-man tent. It's got like a double vestibule on it, and they still sell them. They still make them and sell them,
yeah.
but it doesn't get used anymore since I started hammock camping.
Mm.
Right? So
It's always a
yeah.
tough call. I'm always trying to decide which one to bring. It's for comfort. I like my big 3-person tent style tent but I need a lot of space for that, and it's heavy. It's not fitting in
Hmm.
my pack. I've got to carry it separate. And but if I want to do a backpacking trip, I'm taking one of my one person, regular ground tents, either the Eureka or whatever, because you don't want to be carrying stuff that's heavy.
Right. Are you a type of person that you have to have your own tent, or
I
you?
prefer having my own tent. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
used to it now, so I think it would be tough to get back in sharing. I mean, I know I have in the past squished like 3 people in a 2-person tent, and
Yeah.
I really don't know how we did that because a 2-person tent's really good for for one.
For one, right, right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you know when we go on our trips, like I say, last year our big trip in August, we had 6 people, and there were 2 guys in hammocks, and there were 4 guys in tents, and none of them shared. So
wow.
try on Crown Land
Oh boy,
where
trying
you
to find
can't
spot.
find a campsite to find spots, right? With a hammock, it's not so bad. You
Yeah,
can go into the forest and you can find 2 trees, right?
yeah.
But these guys are all fighting over the spots, and it's like, share a tent. The father and son, share a tent.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is the advantage with the
Yeah,
hammocks and even the tree tent. The tree tents are a
yeah,
little bit more tricky because you need 3 trees in a good position, but you don't have to worry about the ground, which is nice.
right.
Oh, we got Ryan all and everything. Question: how are we both looking to improve our live chats? Dennis, what would you like to do in your live chats to either make them better or things you'd like to try?
Well, you know what? I just recently, and this is all through people doing super chats and joining like as a membership on my channel and stuff like that. Any income that comes in, it's not like I'm taking it. Hey, I'm buying myself some more beer. I buy my own beer anyways, right? But I'm using that any funds that come in like that. I purchased the license for StreamYard, so I can now do a bunch of different things in the background. And I'm trying to learn something new with each time I do it. A lot like my editing techniques, which are not the best. Sorry, everybody, on my videos, but I try to learn something new every time and try and implement something new. And whether it's putting an overlay or a green screen or different things like that. So, but I think the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle I have to get over is I have to stop tripping over my tongue. I'm
Hmm.
not the best public speaker, right? And it may have gotten a little bit better, but I'm one of those. And now everybody's going to notice it, but I'm an guy, right? So there you go. It's like I'd like to personally learn how to speak better, and that's the thing that I really try to improve on for my live streams.
Nice. I, I
Yeah.
I think I might look at the StreamYard as well. Just because the way I'm doing this is, I mean, I do video professionally. I have a professional live streaming setup, which is what I'm using for broadcasting, multicam things, events, and so on.
Hmm.
Problem is, it's hard to operate single-handedly. So
Right.
I'm watching yours and you're using the StreamYard and you're able to bring in extra people. For me to bring in another person, I have to do a bunch of different things, bring in the cameras, create a new graphic for them to be all split screen where you're pressing a
Yeah.
button, right?
Yeah. StreamYard makes it extremely easy for anybody in the live chat that's ever done a StreamYard. They know.
Yeah.
Um, because like I was telling you before, I used to use OBS, and it was like that. It
Yes.
was
Yeah.
buttons, and you got to do this and cue this, and I don't want to fight with it. I just want to hit a button, right? And they've made it simple. I guess Zoom is a lot the same way as well, right?
I don't think you have anywhere near as much control on Zoom. I've been editing some Zoom things for clients. What they've recorded big Zoom rooms, and yeah, you don't have much control. The things are jumping all over the place. But I think
Hmm.
StreamYard is really good. I'm going to keep doing it the way I'm doing it because I've created the look of it. But I wouldn't mind adding a third person in. We have to be set up at front, so I don't have to do anything. But I could have like a three-way chat as well. But eventually, maybe like I mentioned to you before, I might look at that towards the fall, doing something with streaming, just so it's simple and easy.
Yeah. See, I have to compliment you on the format that you're doing, because I know this all takes a lot of work to do, and I like the format that you try to stick to, like about an hour-long show.
Yeah.
My shows always go 2 hours plus. And it's not because I try to do it that way. It's just that sometimes when you get speaking with an interesting person, that the conversation just keeps going and going. Right?
Yeah.
So I try to cut it off at that 2 hour mark, because my format, the way I've got it, where the first hour is like you and I, right? And then the second half hour, I like to open up to sort of general conversation rather than just an interview. Then we get into a bit of more relaxed, let's have a beer and go on like that. But I still like to try and cut it off at 2 hours, because eventually you see your numbers starting to peter off. Right?
That's right. And for rewatching, somebody sitting through it's a long way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're actually coming up. We're about 55 minutes now, so we'll wrap up shortly. But we got a few more questions, so I'm happy to answer those. Let's see. Somebody's asking, which tent style tent would you recommend for a couple on a week-long Algonquin trip for beginner using tree tents? The tent style tent, it depends on. So I have the one person, which obviously if there's two of you, you don't want. But there's two different versions of the two-person tent. There's one that's slightly bigger than the other. I would maybe go with that. My two-person I've never actually used with two people in it. I've only used my three-person one with two people in it. You might, which is there's the three-person one is a Stingray. Then there's the Flight, which is the two-person, and Connect, which is the two-person. So you could use one of those, or you have to spend a bit more. But the three-person one is awesome. It's got tons of room inside. You could have room for all your gear in there as well if you want. So they're heavier though.
I've never tried one of those.
They're very comfortable. You got to get used to positioning them. You need trees in the right positions, and you got to be aware of where you're going. Make sure there is trees. But yeah, they're really nice. I really like them.
How did you get your first experience with one of them? Did you see somebody else that had one?
I had seen them, and then I just ended up buying one. I thought I got to try this. It's just really cool. They are heavier though. That's the thing, because they have ratchets to tighten them. So with the two-person, the Flight, you can get away with a single ratchet. You could tie the straps onto the other points. It just makes adjustments difficult. So I'll often they also have these smaller things called what I call them, web locks. It's a smaller piece of metal which you pull it through and it just locks, and then you can easily adjust. Right. But that's where you get the weight, is the ratchets. They're all heavy. Otherwise, it's the same as a regular tent, but it does get a little bit heavy.
They're pretty. I've seen them, but I've never slept in one.
I like them. I do enjoy them.
And do you use that winter camping as well?
I use that mostly winter camping. I try to avoid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I prefer being up in the air. I find with having enough insulation underneath me in the winter. Like I'll bring like a closed cell foam pad and thermarest, and often I'll bring, depending on if I'm not going too far, because I've got the sled, I can bring more stuff. I'll bring a regular sleeping bag just to use as an extra pad underneath, and then have my winter sleeping bag on top. So as long as you're insulated from the bottom, you're fine.
Yeah.
And actually, one thing I do like about them, the entire top is screen, which the fly then goes over. So in the winter, you have no problem with ventilation. Every other tent I've been inside, even if you've got vents open, you end up with condensation inside in the winter, and it's snowing on you inside the tent. Thoughts on Dyneema tents such as Z-Packs? I'm not familiar with them.
Nor am I.
So thoughts? I don't have any.
You got it, carefully, Captain.
What kind of tarp do you have for your hammock?
My Hennessy hammock come with an asymmetrical tarp, which I did not like at all. It just barely covered the hammock itself. So I made the purchase of the They have a hex fly that goes over top, and it's rather roomy. It allows great coverage. You could sit under. Actually, we've had 4 guys sitting under my
Oh,
tarp
wow, nice.
during a rainstorm. If you want something that's going to close in, sort of like a door system, I've got I think it's an AquaQuest 10 by 10 tarp. And if you rig that up the right way, you could actually pull the corners in and you could enclose yourself completely in there.
Nice.
So, yep.
That's cool. Oh, Kevin Callan's asking, Dennis, list some of your biggest smiles you got out of all the interviews you've given.
Oh, yeah. Well, Kevin Callan would have to be one of them himself.
Yeah.
He always has a way of lighting up a room for sure.
By the way, Kevin, I want to chat with you. I'm going to send you a message. I'd love to do a chat with you as well.
Yeah.
So expect a message from me.
I like the guests that are the ones that just get into talking about stuff that you're not really expecting to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Like opening up. But yeah, man, we get into some like Kevin's a regular on the show, and I always call him, he's like my Vince McMahon, no, or Ed McMahon. Sorry,
Oh,
Ed
yes.
McMahon, person, right?
Yeah.
Showing my age now, but yeah, Kevin always puts a smile, and that's the kind of person he is, and I actually love it. So
That's awesome. Okay, we'll take a couple more questions, and then because we're just over an hour now, we will wrap up. But what do we got here? We've got Nifty Paddler question. Had a dream that I paddled from the Trent River to the St. Lawrence. Am I nuts? Could you? You could do that. Well, you'd have to go. Yeah, you could get there.
All right, Ontario.
Yeah,
It'd be all open water, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually something I would like to do. I'd like to do it not to the St. Lawrence. I'd like to do from like Trenton area and paddle up to like Lake Simcoe through the canal. I don't know how many days. I'd have to look at how many days it would take, but that would be a fun little trip to do.
Talk to Kevin Callan. I know he's done a good part of the trip.
Oh, yeah?
Canal. He had a video out on it last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions? If not, we'll wrap up. Maybe we'll do this again so that you can ask. So now we get into the questions. We should get into the questions earlier. Partly my fault because my technical issues were going on. I could not see any of the comments, but yeah, once we get into the questions, it's a lot of fun.
You mind if I make a little announcement?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
So, well, everybody knows I had Chris Prouse on the show last week, and she was on your show last week as well. And Chris is quite the person behind the camera, and she has some great editing skills, as well as Ben. He's got some really nice technique and stuff like that. And then Matt Hahn, the producer and one of the producers of Mark in the Park. Mm-hmm. So we're going to try and get something together and have a nice panel and have, for everybody in the chat, some expertise on how to shoot, how to edit, and things of that sort. So we're working on that now. I'm glad you're going to be a part of it, Ben.
That'll be a good long one, I think.
Looking forward to it.
I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions for that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I know when you were chatting with Chris, you went at least 2 hours. I think with that. We went well over an hour. People were asking all sorts of questions. So,
right.
Yeah, no, it's good. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. We do have a few more questions before we go. Kevin's asking, it is not about me, someone else. Who else made you smile?
Well, like I say,
Kevin.
Preston Sear actually had a few good smiles on my face there when we were going on our show. Geez, of course, it's always a good time when my buddy Ethan's on from Avid Outdoorsy Guy. He's a good time. There's a fella that's another semi-regular on the show too. Many of you might have seen him, Sty North. Good old Sty's got stories all the time that there's a wealth of knowledge behind his huge beard, right? So, yeah.
Nice. Question for, I guess we can ask both of us this. Who are some of the people that you would love to have on your show in the future?
Want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I've got a couple of people in mind, but for you, who would like to?
You know what? There's so many YouTubers out there that I really, really like to get on the show. One is Jim Baird. Next week we have Ted Baird on, but I'd like to get Jim on as well. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'd love to get the two brothers on together so we could talk a little more about their alone experience. Who else? Uh, oh, geez. Ah, from Newfoundland. Oh, man, I'm having one of them old guy moments, having a brain fart, right? Uh, Justin Barber. Justin Barber is somebody that I've been dying to get on. And then, of course, everybody wants Survivor Man on the show at some point, right? So,
Yeah, you know, I
those
think
are,
everybody that's ever filmed themselves out camping, when you place the camera and you're doing that shot where you walk away, you're thinking
mhm.
of Survivor Man. You're thinking of those
Yeah,
shots where he's walked off like a
yeah,
kilometer in the distance, and you know he's got to come back and get that camera.
for sure.
Yeah,
And
that,
somebody else I'd love to get on the show, and Kevin's got to make this happen, is Gary the Puppet.
who's Gary? I don't know Gary. Who's Gary the puppet?
Oh, you got to go deep into Kevin's
Okay,
video library there.
cool.
You'll see Gary the Puppet. Trust me.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, there's a few people I'd
Yeah.
like. There's some people that I've been following in the UK that I'd love to get on. I was supposed to actually be taking a trip in at the end of middle of June to July over to England. Obviously, that's not happening now. But I was going to take my tent and I wanted to do some camping in like the Peak District there. And there's people that there's not in some areas you're allowed to camp, other areas you can just kind of do it. But I'd like to talk to some of the people over there. They call it wild camping. They don't call it backcountry camping. But I'd like to do some, see if I can get any of them on. Kevin, I'd love to have you on. Alexis Outdoors, love to have you on. Anybody who's actually just really cool. I mean, there's all sorts of cool people out there, and it's just nice to chat. It doesn't have to be about anything in particular. And once we get into the chatting, it's a good chat and fun to listen in on.
Mhm. Actually, I see there from Kevin's comment there or question, and just below him, Kayak Tomato. He was mentioning Shug. Are you familiar with Sean Emery? Shug.
No.
He's a bat or a hammock aficionado.
Oh,
This guy
cool.
knows everything about hammock camping, and this guy he's the ultimate entertainer. He was trained by the Barnum and Bailey Circus,
Oh, wow.
and he's an entertainer,
Yeah.
and he was a funny guest. Like he had people in stitches all night. So yeah,
Mm.
there you go. I'm surprised I forgot about that because I'm a huge fan of Shug for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, well, everybody, we're probably going to wrap up, but obviously, we'll get a chance to chat again when you do the filming show that you want to do.
Yep.
We could always do this again if people want us to. It's always nice to chat. And anybody that's on there that's watching that would like to do a chat, just send me or Dennis a message. I'm sure either of us wouldn't mind chatting with any of you on our shows. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's just always fun to chat with people. So
Big or small, we'll chat with you all, right?
exactly. So I just wanted to thank everybody again. I'm just going to set something up here on the sea. This is the hard part. It's hard to do.
Hit the subscribe button down below.
That's right. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
show Ben some love.
And Dennis, both of us, 65% of you haven't subscribed to our channels. What's up with that?
Yeah,
So please do. And I don't know who I'm talking with next week, but I'm going to have somebody. So we'll see who that is. Who do you have next week? You mentioned it earlier, but just in case anybody.
I got Ted Baird is going to
That's
be on
right.
Tuesday.
Yep.
And then I got Stephen Coots, who is a canoe poler, somebody trying to bring back the lost art of canoe poling. Will be on the following week. Yep.
Nice. Awesome. So tune in to Dennis's show, and
Thank you.
I'll be back next Thursday with somebody as well. So look forward to seeing you then. And again, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Cheers, everybody.